Due to the tireless progress of various technologies and pretty much constant discoveries in all sciences at once, the medical field of our century has reached an unprecedented development. What is quite astonishing is that even today, many people still have a fear of visiting medical institutions. Their fears are primarily due to the human factor, but in old days, the fear factor was much more objective. People feared for themselves quite rightly, and today we'll tell you about this in this episode on Flip Side of History. Let's continue this episode. Yesterday and today. In the city of ancient Babylon, it was believed that the majority of diseases were caused by darkness. Illnesses were regarded as the intervention of dark forces or as a form of heavenly punishment for sins. For one example, one of the cults advised the sick to sleep on a person's skull for a week in order to expel the evil astral bodies. The individual also had to kiss and lick the skull almost all night. In the following centuries, the development of medicine significantly changed the life of ancient society and the approach to treatment. In the Iron Age, in many civilizations, ailments were no longer associated with the punishment of the gods. But despite this, a lot of people still experienced fear and doubts when seeking medical help from the specialists of that time. Therapeutic cannibalism. For a long time, even great civilizations have experienced suspicious methods of using human blood and tissue, of course for medical purposes. For instance, the ancient Romans believed that drinking the blood of a gladiator or warrior could be very useful in the fight against epilepsy, while eating the remains of the dead was a popular means of transferring their vital energy to support the health of the sick and essentially fight the disease. A great strategy, they thought back then. Even for the cure of migraines, the tradition of crushing skulls into powder was used, which was prescribed as a method of treatment. Since the delivery of such material was extremely laborious, many poor people attended public executions, hoping to get at least some blood of the executed person. Nonetheless, the bloody practice was not the only one that was widespread in the vastness of Rome at that time. In the Greek provinces of the empire, the local art of bloodletting was practiced as a medical procedure against various diseases, from simple colds up to the plague. Those who had great intentions at the time also offered their services in this area, puncturing veins and collecting diseased blood to repair the body from inside. Despite the dangers of this method of treatment, it continued to exist for quite a long time. Not only the blood of the dead is useful, but also the pus of the plague. Another terrible method was to puncture the abscesses of patients dying of the plague. Then it was necessary to inhale its contents through the nasopharynx. Who had to inhale it? It was prescribed for mostly healthy people, or put that abomination under the skin. This terrible, revolting method was developed by doctors in the hope of acquiring immunity to the problematic disease that has claimed millions of lives. Psychiatries. Our ancestors had psychiatric clinics, where they used special structures called cradles. They were needed to restrain particularly violent patients. The poor souls were locked in such devices, deprived of the ability to move, sit, or be active. But in the 20th century, this kind of thing was excluded from the practice of psychiatry. They were replaced by restraining shirts and rooms with padded walls. This allowed people to maintain their freedom of movement, but prevented the possibility of harm to themselves and others. Speaking of psychologically unstable individuals, for many years it seemed that doctors saw the cause of all diseases solely in the state of their mind. They focused on exorcising evil spirits and curses from their patients. In the 18th century, the American physician Benjamin Rush came up with the sedation chair, which was a simple and effective method. Patients were tied to it, depriving the mentally ill person of the ability to move, and then the skull of the possessed was squeezed with special forceps. Underneath the chair was a vessel into which, according to the doctor, madness and bad blood were supposed to escape. How simple it seemed at that time to extract the evil. In the 2nd century, Chinese alchemists believed mercury to be a magical elixir that would bring them immortality. Despite its toxicity, they used it in the form of ointments and even applied mercury diets. In one of his attempts to achieve immortality, the ruler of the celestial country named Qi Shi Huang even tried to poison himself by swallowing one poisonous pill. Until the very beginning of the 20th century, which is truly recently, mercury was used to eliminate sexually transmitted infections. But after consumption, a significant part of the patients went to the other world. They died from complications related to kidney failure and liver disorders. Dentist-like doctors. Since ancient times, teeth healers have caused sincere trembling in people's hearts. For majority of our existence as humans, medicine used to be divided into theoretical professors and bathhouse attendants practitioners, which is, to be upfront, pretty strange. While rat people often could not do anything in practice, but absolutely uneducated workers in the service sector received invaluable experience from their highly regarded ancestors. Such pros pulled bad teeth by hand or tied the problematic object of the oral cavity to various parts of the horse and frightened it. Before the invention of anesthesia, teeth were also treated with poisonous drugs, in the naive hope of ruining the inner floor of the mouth. Prosthetics, as you can imagine, were also very poorly developed. Some healers used tooth replacement, inserting animal fangs, pieces of elephant tusks, and even fragments of human teeth obtained by executioners or grave robbers, into the gums. These, well, so to speak, prostheses were fixed inside the mouth by dentists or prototypes of them, by using wire and wax. But despite everything, even then there were more humane alternatives to dental treatment. For example, patients were asked to stay at night under the light of the moon, with their mouths open. Such experts claimed that there was hope to relieve toothache. The method from the Moonlight Agency was painless and, as you can imagine, totally ineffective. In the 18th century, James B.L. Morrison finally patented the drill, which was a significant advance in the industry. At that time, a lot of other fashionable tools were developed. But they still used a gruesome operation in which doctors cut off half of the tongues of patients who stuttered. Just an attempt to cure stuttering. The empty-headed method did not involve anesthesia and even did not lead to positive results. In majority of cases, people died. And about bad posture. Welcome to bondage corset. Beauty requires sacrifice, as it's commonly known. A variety of methods have been used to treat scoliosis in the past, including hanging in unnatural positions, stretching and breaking bones, and wearing corsets that distorted the chest. Modern methods of scoliosis treatment are much more effective. They include the use of metal rods, which help to restore the shape of the spine. While posture correction devices in the old days resemble devices from the world of sexual games. Yeah, it's great that we do not live in those distant times, and of course, it's good that medicine is available to us much more humanely and, most importantly, more effectively at the end. You were watching another episode on Flip Side of History. Do not hesitate and leave a like as well as subscribe to the channel. And for now, we tell you, see you later.